set it up for the possibility of Nikki.
Sneeze right on Kevin.
I'm not surprised.
Just sneezed all in his face.
He'll never cover his mouth.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. We're going to be talking about the draft today. It's not going to be a long show because I don't feel like making it a long show. May is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, so WWE is going to celebrate that, and you know that they have a lot of variety when it comes to their superstars, or at least they try to. We've got Io, Dakota, Roman, the Usos, Solo. You have Asuka, Shinsuke. The list goes on. All right, there's so many various people that fit into this particular box of colored people. So it's their month to celebrate, and we gonna uplift them just like they uplift us on our month to celebrate. Something else I want to talk about before we get to the draft. Cody Rhodes has his schedule set up for his live shows, just like Chad Gable has his stuff set up, and it gives you the whole month of May all the way out until the 29th. And there are a few dates missing because Cody will be unavailable around the time of Night of Champions due to the fact that they will be overseas in Jeddah. Okay, so there are a couple dates in between there that he's not booked for, which I'm pretty sure those are his relax days or whatever he's booked have them set for. But if you care and you want to see Cody Rhodes at the Super Show or at Backlash, which is where it's scheduled, or at Raw, you should definitely check it out. Now, it's funny because I don't see Jeddah up here, so we don't know if Cody's going to be booked for Jeddah or not. I'm hoping that he is booked for Jeddah, but he may not be. Truly depends. With all that being said, it's time for the draft. We're going to talk about it. But first things first, the top commenters of the day. Top commenters of the day goes to Icy Brazy. Icy Brazy was in here first. As soon as I went live, he was the first one to comment. Also, so was Pierre's, my number 2. And then we have Quan, who was number 3. So shout out to y'all 3 for being my top commenters of the day. Appreciate you. I'm going to star these comments so I can tell who was the numero unos. All right, so let's get into this draft. It was a very interesting draft. WWE sent us a couple of curveballs, but we're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna make it do what it do. Okay. First draft pick of the night was Rhea Ripley. She was overall number 1, and she was picked to go to Monday Night Raw. Obviously, her counterpart was picked to go to SmackDown, so she, of course, will be picked to go to Raw. Now, I see a lot of people being in there feeling, Sean Ross Sapp being one of them, that he doesn't want Bianca and Rhea to swap the titles. Nobody wants to see that. Yada, yada, yada bullshit. Look, if they decide to do a championship swap, that is their business. We've seen it happen successfully with the New Day and the Street Profits before, and it can be successfully done with Rhea and Bianca. These are 2 different people. This isn't Charlotte and Becky, so everybody needs to just relax on that. Number 2, they could do this in a different way. Now, the way WWE has been operating, giving us a bunch of surprises, they could very well have Bianca Belair drop that title to Io, which to me wouldn't do her much good, seeing as how Io was on the same show as her. They could have Zelina Vega take the title off of Rhea Ripley, and the titles could change that way, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I think both of these women are going to retain their championships, and I think that their respective belts are going to be swapped, and then they will have new challengers and a whole new game to play. With all that being said, the first round pick, like I said, went to Rhea Ripley. Second pick went to Austin Theory. The third pick was Seth freaking Rollins. And then the fourth pick was Charlotte Flair going back to SmackDown. So SmackDown gained Theory and Charlotte Flair, and Raw gained Rhea Ripley and Seth freaking Rollins. In the second round of the draft pick, Matt Riddle was selected. Well, not Matt Riddle's. I'm sorry. Let me get my shit right because I got the stuff written down and I got it on the wrong damn paper. So let me go ahead and get to the right people who was selected. God damn. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were selected as a pair to come to Monday Night Raw. So Monday Night Raw is their new home. If you recall, Kevin and Sami Kevin was drafted to Raw, Sami was drafted to SmackDown. So now they are both on Monday Night Raw. Now I know that this could play out a lot differently. These tag team titles aren't going to be on them long because there's a new belt in play, and I'm sure KO and Sami both want to hold that belt at some point. And why not right now? You know what I'm saying? It's a new day, as they say. Moving on to the next draftees. This one kind of surprised me a little bit. But I understand it because it makes a lot of sense. So Jimmy and Jey Uso were drafted as a team back to SmackDown. So all of the bloodline are currently on SmackDown. I was a little disappointed in that. I wanted it to be shaken up just a little bit. You know, they got plenty of time to end out whatever story they need to end out via the bloodline and Roman and the whole thing. So I was a little disappointed by that. I really was like, damn, they couldn't shake it up just a tad. And of course, the Judgment Day was drafted as a trio rather than a foursome. They decided to go ahead and draft Damian Priest, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio together. And they all are on Raw along with their leader and champion, Rhea Ripley. Moving on to another big draft pickup, LWO has been drafted to SmackDown. So this will probably be the last time you see them fighting each other, which thank freaking gosh. And LWO is going to be on SmackDown as a team. Hello, B Jeffers. How are you? And hello to you, Kayla and Aaliyah. Hello, young boy Jay as well. All right. So let's get to where we at. This is the second round or third? This is third. Okay, this is the second round. Okay, we're going to the third round because I couldn't remember which round. All right. All right, so the girls was drafted in the third round. Raquel and Liv Morgan are both now officially part of the Raw roster, and they are the tag team champions. They were pinned tonight by Bayley and Dakota Kai, so that happened. Whatever works for you, okay. A big pickup for SmackDown in the women's division was that Asuka was drafted to SmackDown. Okay. So that's a cool thing. Asuka's a dangerous competitor. And when you look at how they lay out all her accolades, like she's competed for every single title that is available to the women's division, with the exception of the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships, which quite frankly she doesn't need, but she's done everything that you could do in the women's division as a female. She's done everything. That's crazy. Asuka's one of the most highly decorated females in the world. Got to give old girl her respects there. One thing I did like is that they drafted New Day as a duo to Raw, so that is awesome. Kofi and Xavier both are going to be on Raw. Maybe they'll give Kofi or Xavier another crack at that Intercontinental Championship on Monday Night Raw. I wouldn't mind it. I mean, it would free Gunther up from that Intercontinental Championship and possibly put him in the limelight of that new World Heavyweight Championship. It's something to think about, isn't it? Anyways, and then of course, SmackDown picked up their Brawling Brutes. Butch, Sheamus, and Ridge Holland were all drafted together back to the blue brand. All right, let's go to round 4. Now, this is one pick that I didn't like. Matter of fact, let me get rid of the ones that I've already talked about. Let me get rid of you. Let's get rid of you. You. This is the pick I didn't like. In my mind, Trish Stratus should have been considered a free agent. And her being a free agent allows her to be a floater, and she can go to different brands and operate under whatever guise she want to. It also fits in her character. It works with her character. I just didn't understand why they felt the need to draft her. But they did. She was drafted in the fourth round to Monday Night Raw. Um, yeah, I mean, I wasn't happy with that pick. I'm just gonna be honest. I didn't think it was a necessary pick for Monday Night Raw specifically. But she was drafted. There's nothing we can do about it. The next pickup for SmackDown was a bit of a shocker for me. This was Karrion Kross and his wife Scarlett. Now, the thing I felt like, and a lot of people felt like, and even Don and Rico, when I did the podcast with them about the mock draft, they felt like Karrion would fit better on SmackDown Raw, actually. So him being on SmackDown is a little, I don't know what they're gonna do, but I'm curious as to how this is gonna play out for Karrion and Scarlett. I'm very, very curious about it. And of course, everybody's favorite, most hated woman, like Ronda Rousey, is truly despised on the roster. Like a lot of fans can't stand this woman. But Ronda and Shayna were both drafted. Excuse me, to Monday Night Raw. They were drafted together, so they potentially could be making a play for those tag team titles at some point. And this was another pickup that I thought was very interesting. So let me see if I got it. I do not. So hold tight, y'all. Let me make sure I get all my ducks in a row. Sometimes when I upload shit, it does not all upload all the way. So hold on.
Still don't know my words, still stressing perfection. Let you all in my mental, got me looking too desperate. Damn, you ain't deserve.
All right. So the last one in this particular round was none other than Mr. LA Knight. LA Knight was drafted back to SmackDown. So he's going to stay on the blue brand for a little while longer, for another year, I guess. I'm a little surprised by that too. I honestly thought that LA Knight would be moved to Monday Night Raw. That's where I think that he would thrive the best. But obviously, WWE does not feel that way. So they have left LA Knight on the blue brand. We'll have to wait and see how all of that plays out. Who's on? B. Jefferson said, I feel they should drop the Raw and SmackDown names from the women's belts and replace them with Women's World Champion and Women's Universal Champion to match the men. I don't know. Well, when they change the color of the belts so that they're more universal, then they can do that. But it doesn't seem like they're on the road to doing that. So it is what it is, babes. Unfortunately. But I agree. I think that would be a good way to maintain the balance where you don't have to worry about, people swapping belts or belts being switched over to different brands. Because if you have a belt with I guess you could say with with an even name, with a name that's not gonna be weird or anything like that. Like with a name that's really easy to transfer over to the other brand, it makes it easier to draft a champion without you having to have them beholden to one brand. So I think that's actually really smart, B. Jeffers. But the only problem is the belts are specifically colored by the brand. So the women's titles have not been reworked. They're still the same. The men's title, the only time they changed the men's title is when they moved the Universal Championship to the blue brand, and that's when it gained a blue strap. It was red at first because it was on Monday Night Raw, and SmackDown had the WWE Championship. That championship has been on that black strap for a while, so I don't think they're going to change that anytime soon. But I do agree that the women's titles, they can stay white. They just need to be a little bit more universal. Similar to the way that the NXT UK women's belt was. It was on a white strap, but it was gold. So you can pretty much take that belt to any brand and let it be what it is. The only difference is it has NXT UK on it. You know what I'm saying? It's got the whole emblem and all that good shit. But you're right. I 100% agree. All right, so let's get to these last set of picks. All right, so we have Braun Strowman and Ricochet, who were drafted. Why don't I have their fucking picture up here? This is so annoying. I swear I downloaded all of this shit. Hold on.
Still don't know my words, still stressing perfection. Let you all in my mental, got me looking too desperate. Damn, you ain't deserve.
All right, so here we go. Okay, so I got it back. Okay, awesome. Now, go. Okay, so this said last. Will you let me? Ugh. All right, so Braun Strowman was drafted to Raw along with his partner Ricochet. Also, Shotzi Blackheart was drafted to SmackDown, so she's gonna stay on the blue brand. Bronson Reed is drafted to Raw. And Pretty Deadly was drafted to SmackDown today. So they were the first NXT call up. So there you go. Fruit roll up belt. Okay. The IWC used to say the first universal belt looked like a fruit roll up. All right, and it's like I said, Pretty Deadly was drafted to SmackDown, so they're going to be on SmackDown from here on out. So congratulations to Pretty Deadly for moving up from NXT onto the blue brand. It's got to feel great to be drafted and finally be on the main roster. With that being said, let's go to the final picks of the night before we get to the Raw Talk picks, because I am not currently watching Raw Talk, so I can't see who's been drafted where on Raw Talk. But first, let me get rid of the picks that I have already announced to you. Okay. Yes, we announced that. And we announced that. Very good. All right. So Chad Gable and Otis have both been drafted as Alpha Academy to Raw. Okay. They're going to stay on Raw. Congratulations to them. Rick Boogs was a pickup for SmackDown to be drafted, which I'm not understanding about that one. Like, there was only two picks in this draft that I probably would not have done, and that was Trish Stratus and this one. I personally would have left Boogs in the supplemental draft, and I hate to say that, but I just would have, because I just feel like there was no reason to pick him up in the main draft. But all right, and then we got another NXT call up. Kaden and Katana have both been drafted to the Raw brand. They are going to be battling it out Tuesday for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships, which is interesting to me that they're going to be battling it out. May 8th is when the roster changes take full effect. Battleground for NXT is not until the 28th of May. So even if... Why are you crying?
Oh my God.
Your grandfather wants you, Logan. Let me go home. I'm getting tired of this shit. All right. Does he have his medicine up here?
I don't think so.
You might want to go get his medicine before they call you to go get it. All right. So like I said, Kaden and Katana were both drafted to Raw. Excuse me. I had to put my mask on. My nephew is here and he is sick. So if you can't hear me or it sounds muffled, that's the reason why. Final pick of the night goes to Cameron Grimes. He's going to SmackDown. So we're finally going to go to the moon. Cameron Grimes is going to be on the main roster after a year or so. I feel like it was a year and a half of him being gone. He's going to be on the main roster on SmackDown. So this is going to be an interesting mix of people on both shows. Now, the supplemental draft happened on Raw Talk, which I kind of figured they were going to do that. But let's get into it. So, Dana Brooke, Nikki Cross, and Johnny Gargano are all drafted to Raw. And Tamina was drafted to SmackDown. Like, Gargano should have been the pick that was on tonight. And you could have put Boo. That was fucked up. Like, I understand that he's injured. I totally get that. But come on. Come on. Yes? Kevin? All right, y'all. I'm gonna show y'all these pics. Hold on. Thank you, Icy Brazy, for the info. I appreciate it. Free agency. Corbin is a free agent. Shelton Benjamin, Cedric, Zion Quinn. I think that was somebody that Don suggested should come up, or Rico. It was Rico? Yeah. He picked Zion to be drafted, so Rico was right about that. And Elias are all free agents. Kevin, go in there and see what they want, please. And then finally, you have Los Lotharios, Akira Tozawa, Piper Nevin, Zaya Lee, Tegan Knox, Chelsea, I believe. Wait, who is this? That's Emma and Madcap Moss are all drafted to Raw. Okay. I mean, yeah. All right, so there are some more draft picks that I obviously wasn't allowed to find out about. Y'all was just gonna tell me. So, okay. Sometimes, like I, that's fine. All right, so first, let me get it out. Pull it up. I mean, it's at the end, so. Okay, so. Okay, so apparently Grayson Waller is going to SmackDown. So good for Grayson. I'm not 100% sold on it, but I ain't mad at it either. So if he is going to SmackDown, cool beans. Let me see what I can find on Twitter. Okay. All right, Grayson Waller's going to SmackDown as they said. Dana, like I said, Dana's going to. Oh, Odyssey got drafted. I saw that in the comments. Odyssey Jones is going to Raw. That's interesting. Andrew Shear's going to Raw. Honestly, they could have left their asses on SmackDown. I mean, on NXT. I'm not even trying to be funny. They could have left them there. But you know, whatever works for you, babes. All right, so let's go back to some of y'all comments. Andrew Shear's going to Raw. I don't really care about Andrew Shear. Odyssey Jones is going to Raw. 2 more NXT call-ups. That's awesome. I'm glad. Consider myself stepped aside, Kenny Wall. Zion is a free agent asked by WWE Twitters. Damn, what happened to the Creed brothers? It looks like they're not going up right now. Doesn't mean anything. It just means they weren't in the draft. It's a bummer, yeah, but eventually the Creed brothers will go up. I mean, you know how Triple H is. Everything has a rhyme or reason, you know? So that's the draft. As far as I know, there's no other draft picks, but those are some pretty good pickups. Zion Quinn can pretty much go wherever they need him, as can Corbin, Cedric Alexander, and Shelton Benjamin. I like that they drafted Odyssey to Raw. That gives him a ample opportunity to really shine the way he can. I'm glad that Grayson Waller is going to be on SmackDown. Grayson Waller being on SmackDown with LA Knight being there is an interesting thing. Now, you've got two people who are pretty much really big talkers. They're all personality. At some point, somebody's got to become the dominant personality, or they could join forces and make themselves a little faction. Doesn't matter. Either way, Grayson Waller being on SmackDown is a massive pickup for SmackDown, truly and honestly. If we're going outside of kayfabe and my complete annoyance for Grayson Waller, he's a great wrestler and he is a very, very, very good heel. So Grayson Waller leaving NXT, hella smart. I was one of the people that was advocating for Grayson to be pulled up in the draft, so I am glad that he is not in NXT anymore, because they were never going to give him the championship. He just wasn't going to get that traction, and if they weren't going to give him the North American Championship, then there was no point of him staying in NXT. So as far as the NXT call-ups, they were pretty deep. I mean, Indy Hartwell is gone. Two of the tag teams are gone. In Alba Fire and Isla Dawn and Kaden and Katana. That's what, 5 girls right there. And then they didn't really draft any more women after that. Those were the only women that were drafted from NXT. The guys that came from NXT were Grayson Waller, Zion Quinn, Odyssey Jones, Indu Shear. Who else came from NXT? If you count Cameron Grimes, you can count Cameron Grimes, but I don't count Cameron Grimes. He ain't been on TV forever. Zoe Stark, I forgot about Zoe. Zoe's the 4th girl that I forgot about. No, she's the 6th, so I'm sorry about that. Oh, Pretty Deadly got drafted today. So there's a lot of people that got drafted to the main roster. It was more men than it was women. So Tegan on Raw. Yeah, I mentioned that when you showed me the picture. She's in this big picture here. Yeah, she's in this big picture here, so Zoe Stark looked like she was gonna cry every time they ain't say her name to the end. Okay. Vaughn, yeah, he's a free agent, so yeah, I guess if you want to include him, sure. Pretty Deadly. Y'all be tripping. Anyways, that was the draft. It's pretty decent shakeup. I'm curious as to how this is all gonna play out on May 8th, when everything is settled and everything is done. I want to know how they're going to get this belt on somebody. Are they going to set up a tournament? Is that the next logical step after Backlash? Is a tournament to determine who are going to be the last 2 competitors for this title, or maybe it'll be a fatal 4-way to determine who the competitor is, who's going to be the champion on Monday Night Raw. Who's to say? But there is something you can look forward to. This Friday on Friday Night SmackDown, it looks like the Usos are still going to have to answer to Roman at some point. Now, they're obviously going to have a match with Sami and Kevin one last time at Backlash, and then that's going to be the end of it with Solo as their teammate. Now, I don't know exactly what they're going to do or how this is all going to play out. It is pretty interesting, but I don't see Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso still being with the bloodline after this is all over and done with. I see Roman chewing their asses out next week after Backlash, and I see a lot of shit going down, which I kind of like. And I want to see Jey Uso be on his own for a little bit and see how he fares. And if Jey Uso is the one to take that title off for Roman, that'd be even cooler. And it'd be another full circle moment, like I said before. That'd be something I really want to see. But it seems that Cody still has his eyes set, his sights set on Roman Reigns. I don't know how he's going to finagle getting an opportunity to go after Roman again, but it seems like he's going to have to formulate some kind of plan after he goes through Brock Lesnar at Backlash. With all that being said, Backlash is this Saturday. It's coming on at 8 p.m. It's going to be an interesting thing to watch. Bad Bunny is supposed to be competing against fucking Damien. He's supposed to be competing against Damian Priest in a street fight. So this probably will be. I put this in the middle of the card rather than putting it at the top of the hour. I mean, I would put it at the top of the hour rather than putting it at the beginning of the show. But it's going to be interesting to see how they make this work into the show. This will either be your main event or this will be your mid card main event. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the top of the hour, the last match at the top of the hour. So at 9 o'clock, this match will probably be coming on, and then you'll get Sammy, Kevin, and the Usos and them at the end of the show, which, quite frankly, I would probably close the show out with Benito and Damien, but whatever works for them. There is a triple threat match for the United States Championship. Now, Bobby Lashley has been drafted to SmackDown, as has Austin Theory. With Bronson Reed is a Raw competitor. So now the situation is, do we see Bronson Reed beating Theory for this title? My answer to that is no. It would not logically make sense to put the title on Bronson, especially when the Intercontinental Championship is not on the line at Backlash, which means that title, we would have two titles on one show in the mid card, and that's just not possible. So either Austin Theory is going to retain this championship, or Bobby Lashley is going to be champion once again. But again, that's totally up to the E. Now, tonight, Bianca Belair made it very clear to Io that she's always respected her and always seen her for the woman that she is, but being with Bayley and Dakota Kai has dulled her shine a little bit. And Bianca Belair made it really clear that she also understood Io Sky very well, but it's still going to be her who's going to be standing tall with that Raw Women's Championship. Now, I don't know. This could go either way. Io, Bayley, and Dakota are all on the SmackDown roster. So it's quite possible that she could end up. What do you want, Logan? Excuse me? The switch is right there. You don't need that. It's fine. All right. I'm going to put my money on Bianca. I think Bianca's going to retain this championship. I don't think she's going to lose it to Io. It's going to be interesting to see how Bayley and Dakota play a part in this, but I don't think that she's going to lose it to her. Rhea Ripley is now having her title contested against Zelina Vega. Now, of course, Zelina Vega is going to be the hometown girl. She is, Puerto Rican herself, so Puerto Rico was another hometown for her, and the crowd is going to be behind her. Rhea Ripley thrives in that space of being booed and ridiculed. She loves that. So this could be a bit of a, booster for Rhea Ripley, but it also can give Zelina Vega the space she needs to shine the way that she can. So we'll have to wait and see how this is going to play out. But I have a feeling that Rhea Ripley isn't going to lose this championship anytime soon, and Rhea's going to retain against Zelina Vega. Unfortunately for Vega, now is not the time for her to be the SmackDown Women's Champion. And now, of course, we got this random ass match. Omos is going to be going up against Seth freaking Rollins. Now, today, Seth Rollins came out there and confronted Pauline and made sure that Pauline understood that now Roman has no reason to do all these back channels and bullshit to keep me from getting a second shot at that championship. Now he could just go on about his business because I'm going to get this other title, and that's a title that he can't have. So we have that situation going on. Paul Heyman made it very clear that he wanted Solo and Seth to go up against each other. I'm pretty sure during that match, after the match was over, they probably set that up to be a 4-on-4 8-man tag team match as a dark match for the people in Texas tonight. It was just too many people out there for them not to do that. But Omos had a match tonight against some local jobber, and he dominated this person. And they just was basically like, well, what if this happens with Seth freaking Rollins on Saturday? I don't think that will happen, but if you believe that it will, kudos to you. I'm going to go with the latter and say, no, that's not happening. All right, so one of these two matches may be your main event. This is a 6-man tag team match. It's non-title. It is just simply for bragging rights. The Usos definitely need a W going into Friday Night SmackDown next week. Not necessarily this week, but next week. Because that's when Roman Reigns will finally rear his ugly head and come back and chastise them for losing the championships in the first place and failing to regain them in the second place. Also, do I think the Usos are probably going to win? Maybe. I mean, at this point, it really doesn't matter who wins the match. Whatever the outcome is, what's done is done. And these guys are not going to be competing against each other anytime soon. So it's over. It's done with. We are done with the Bloodline and Kevin and Sami and possibly Matt Riddle, because all of them are on SmackDown and all of them are on Raw. So yeah, Sami, Riddle, Kevin, they're all going to be finished with the Bloodline after Saturday. And then you have this match between Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes. Now, Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar have built this storied rivalry between the two of them. And today, it didn't really come to a head. Brock came out there and thought he was going to start some shit, but Adam kind of cut that off. There was a bunch of security, or what they called security, out there, and essentially this stopped them from fighting. Now, Cody did everything in his power to get to Brock Lesnar. Brock's ass ran out of there like a bat out of hell after he got scratched on the face. And then he was gone. He basically told the people in Texas that he's the only cowboy that they've ever seen. Whatever. I don't know why. It was his way of antagonizing the crowd. So kudos to you, Brock Lesnar. But anyways, here we are. Brock Lesnar is going up against Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes was asked by Kathy tonight, what about the situation with him and Brock Lesnar? Cody made it very clear that if he does not beat Brock Lesnar, that the story is over and he cannot get to the finish line and finish the story because he will be pushed to the back of the line. So Brock Lesnar is an insurmountable mountain, but a mountain that has to be climbed nonetheless. With all that being said, my money is on Cody Rhodes to win this match, given the speech that he just gave and the situation with Brock Lesnar. I can't see him actually losing against Brock. Brock has nothing to gain or lose by winning or losing this match, quite frankly. Cody has everything to gain by winning and everything to lose by losing. So I'm going to put my money on Cody Rhodes. Now, when it comes to Damian Priest and Bad Bunny, I don't see Damian Priest beating Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico. That's not happening. But it is what it is, So if you guys care, or if you are going to watch it, Backlash is going to be on Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I hope you guys enjoy the show if you see it. And then Monday, May 8th, everybody will be in their final places for the show, and we can finally get into the new season of Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, or the new season of WWE leading into next year's Mania on April 4th in Philadelphia. With all that being said, the next set of pay-per-views are as follows, all right? Night of Champions is going to be on May 27th. That is a Saturday. Battleground is that Sunday on the 28th. That is an NXT pay-per-view. We get a month in between there, a whole break. in Night of Champions is going to be in Jeddah. So we get a break in between there and Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank is going to be on July 1st on a Saturday in London. So I don't know how they're going to set this up, but it's going to be very interesting. And then finally, the last pay-per-view of the next couple of pay-per-views that are set up is SummerSlam. It's going to be in Detroit on August 5th at the Ford Field Stadium. That is what we have to look forward to for the next couple of weeks. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed Monday Night Raw and Night of Champions. There's going to be a set of men who are going to be competing for this beautiful belt. And then we'll finally get to see who's going to be the new champion. And I guess then the real work on Monday Night Raw will begin, because that's when we'll finally see who is crowned champ and who's at the top of the mountain on Raw. And then we'll get to see the competitors and how they're going to set up these storylines. It's going to be an interesting day. But if you love your girl, do me a solid and go over to the KTT podcast and check out the show. There is a Red Rum episode up right now for you guys to listen to, and that is the true crime stories. I hope you guys go over there and check that out. Logan, Nana calling you. Pop Culture Wednesday is going to be up. There are 3 episodes for Pop Culture Wednesday. It was so much shit to talk about for Pop Culture Wednesday. I couldn't help it. It's going up Wednesday. And it's going to start at 12. From 12, 12:30, and 1. That's when the 3 episodes are going to go out. So you'll be able to listen to all 3 episodes in succession. I'll give you 30 minutes in between to be able to listen to them. But it's going to include a bunch of stuff. There were some celebrity deaths that I had to cover that literally took almost half of the episode. And there were a couple other topics that need to be covered when it comes to Pop Culture Wednesday. I covered reality TV, sports, the whole 9. Everything is up there. You guys go listen to it. Okay. Put it down there. All right. So if you want to, or please do, for my sake, please go on over there to the KTT podcast on Spotify and on Anchor, which is also considered to be Spotify. Just pop on over there, give me a nice rating, and listen to the show. I promise it is worth listening to. The Red Rum stuff I really enjoy because it's true crime, and I actually do like true crime. I'm not like a fan of the murder. I'm just really interested in why people do what they do. So I do the true crime stories on Mondays. Pop Culture Wednesday is when we do all the messiness. So that's when you hear all the weirdo stories, the Karen stories, the stuff with the celebrities, the reality TV stuff. All that good stuff is all intertwined into Pop Culture Wednesday. And then on Fridays where we have the advice stuff. So I'm going to double back and do SBC stuff for the Am I the Asshole stuff. And of course, I will do some Twitter stories and all that good stuff and advice, because there are some stories that pop up that don't necessarily fit on Pop Culture Wednesday that I moved over to Am I the Asshole Fridays. Okay. So all that stuff is over there and you guys should go and check it out. It is the KTT podcast. It is up. It is ready. And there are plenty of episodes. I'm still working on the Jared Fogle episode for True Crime. It is coming. I have to finish that doc out. It's difficult to watch, so it's going to take me a little bit of time to finish it. But this week, this Friday, you're going to get another Am I the Asshole episode, and it's going to be really interesting because there are a bunch of stories on Reddit that are just fucking crazy. With all that being said, thank y'all so much for listening to me ramble today. Today's been a rough day, so I apologize if the podcast or the show wasn't as popping as it should be or usually is. I'm sorry for that. But don't worry, we're going to fix all that tomorrow. I'm going to go live after NXT, and we'll talk about NXT. We'll run down the show, the whole bit. Okay? Y'all make sure y'all have a really good night. And again, thank y'all so much for listening. I hope everybody enjoyed Monday Night Raw. It was a pretty decent show. I enjoyed it. And I also was looking at the Met Gala, and they had some beautiful gowns. I'm going to do a small podcast on the Met Gala and pick my top 10 looks from the Met Gala and my top 5 worst looks from the Met Gala. And I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.